Before we get started, just want to again thank you for your support and partnership over the past few years. The work that Windom has done, innovating, really transforming your organization is pretty exciting to be a part of. Before we get into the details around like MuleSoft, AI, Data Cloud, Janesh, I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about the business goals that have driven your vision over the past few years.
Yeah. So listen, first, Tim, I want to thank you and PwC and Salesforce for all the support in this opportunity at Dreamforce. And I'm really excited because I've been working with this gentleman, Mike Mahar, alongside for 20 plus years, Mike. And so we grew up in the organization. So here we are today for the first time on a panel discussion sharing the Windom story. So in regards to the business goal, Windom Contact Center, we handle millions of calls on behalf of our 9,200 properties. So anytime a guest or member, when they call into the property, if anybody wants to book a room, they go to the contact center. Additionally, we handle millions of calls for our member services for our loyalty program, Windom Rewards, of which we have approximately 110 million members. And sometimes these members are calling maybe to check on their point balance or to book a free night stay. We have one of the most generous programs when it comes to the loyalty programs. But before we got into our Salesforce investments, the problem, Tim, that we had was that our agents would start off the call from scratch. They would have to ask you, who are you, and Tim, and then proceed to have a conversation with you to determine the service of need. And quite frankly, it was very, very slow and very costly. So when we're handling tens of millions of calls a year, if you can reduce 1 second of your average handle time, for us, that was $100,000 worth of savings. And so what we wanted to do, our vision, was to really identify who is that caller instantly, what loyalty program do they have, what journeys did they have with Windom, so that our agents can deliver a more connected, more unique, more personalized experience. And in doing so, we would become very efficient in our call handling, and it would help us boost our revenue with increased conversions when guests want to book a room. Mike, anything else?
Yeah, well, before we start, first off, Tim, PwC, congratulations on your Innovation Award.
Thank you,
for all the work
Yes.
that you've been doing with Windom. You've been a great partner, and it's awesome to see you guys recognized for that. To add to Janesh's comments, we make travel possible for all, and what that means with technology is we leverage our technology to remove friction for our guests, make it easier for them to search, shop, book, stay at our hotels, and we drive ownership value. Anything that we can do to bring some of the work strain from our hotel owners and staff into our technology is going to benefit them immensely. And then if we can feed more revenue through loyalty and repeat stays into their funnel, it increases their profitability. So ultimately, that's how we're aligned. All of our technology strategies are 100% aligned to our business strategies. Our technologists are measured on business outcomes. We still measure IT KPIs. They're important to us, but they're more table stakes, and our focus is really on the value and growth of our business.
Thanks, Mike and Janesh. So you've been on the Salesforce journey for more than a decade.
Yep.
Would you mind, giving the audience a little bit of the background on that journey and why, over the past year you've decided to make the investment in Data Cloud and MuleSoft?
Yeah, so our journey with Salesforce, I think, Mike, we came 15 years ago
Yes.
to Dreamforce together, and we've been coming ever since. And I would say there's probably a cloud that we didn't like at Salesforce. Our first deployment was the Sales Cloud. So at Windom, for our sales and development team, we wanted to manage our contacts and our relationship with the owners who want to join the Windom franchise system. So we open up 1.5 hotels every day. So it was very important to manage those relationships. So we deployed the Sales Cloud. Next, when these hotels open up, we deployed the Service Cloud so that we can support these hotels and their staff with either business operational needs or with technology support needs. So we launched the Service Cloud. Then we launched the Windom Community, which is really powered by Salesforce Community as a one-stop shop for our owners to log in to manage their business, right? Everything from their communications with their brands to get the latest training tips, to pay their bills. And so we launched Windom Community. And then working with Mike here and Tim and Salesforce and PwC teams, we launched the latest this year was the Salesforce Data Cloud, so kind of brought it all together. And then with Mike's help, MuleSoft integration to our loyalty systems, the back-end systems, the central reservation systems, so we can really have one panel of view, a guest 360 view of our guests and our members. And so that was very important. I think that's foundationally what we needed to do to start innovating across all of our different touch points. Mike?
Yeah, I think the introduction of MuleSoft and Data Cloud and being able to bring us real-time personalization is a game changer for us. We've always had great data, but we've not had the ability to really drive any meaningful personalization in real time. So that's been incredibly foundational. And I think people want a personalized experience. So I'll give you an example. We have a Starbucks in our corporate office. It's off of our lobby. And when I arrive in the morning and I scan my badge, the barista, Jenny, she sees me and she immediately starts making my coffee. She knows my size, my blend, that I don't need room for half and half. I go up to the counter, she slides that coffee over to me, asks me if I want anything else, and I pay her, thank her, and get off to my day. That is meaningful personalization. That's exactly the type of things that Salesforce is enabling for us through MuleSoft and Data Cloud. So it's super exciting. We're also investing in AWS. So that's where we have all of our cloud-hosted services, including our data platform. We're leveraging seamless connectivity between AWS and Data Cloud. That foundation is not only bringing this to life, but it's getting us access to our customer data in a way that is generating new use cases and new ideas. It's going to increase our speed to market because we have that connectivity already there, and it's going to allow us to imagine new things. So I think it's really setting us on a great path.
Yep. So Mike, I'll know what it says about me, but I've been in San Francisco for 48 hours, and I already have the local barista already got me my coffee ready for me when I was walking in this morning.
It works.
Another thing I was thinking about as you were talking, Mike, is PwC recently published a study that says 44% of business leaders in 2024 are implementing data modernization efforts in order to enable Gen AI. It really sounds like, Windom has a leg up from all the work you've done over the past couple of years with AWS and now Data Cloud. With that in mind, when did AI come into the picture?
Yeah, it's a good question. AI is not new. It's been in the picture for quite a while. We've been experimenting with AI and delivering AI solutions into production for a number of years. And it's everything from the chatbots leveraging your knowledge-based data to AI to analyze data or machine learning to give us data-driven insights. So those capabilities have always existed, and we'll continue to invest in those. But what's different today is through personalization and connectivity into Salesforce and to large language models that have been made cool since ChatGPT became a conversation. We're able to do something different. So we have a platform called Windom Connect. It's built on OpenAI. It allows us to leverage that platform for our guests to engage with us prior to arrival and during their stay. They can ask questions. They can submit requests through that platform. Our front desk staff can see those messages, and if they receive a request that the AI platform can't answer, they're able to fulfill it. We've been delivering AI platforms in our contact center as part of our transformation there. We have one that gives our agents real-time feedback on their quality and success on their call. They have next best action. They can see if they're talking too fast, too slow, guest sentiment. So that's been incredibly helpful for us in the maturing those teams and bringing their skills up to speed faster. We used to have supervisors using their time to record calls, score calls, meet with the agents every month, give them feedback, meet with them a month later, and hope that feedback resulted in a behavior change. And now those supervisors can monitor in real time how their team's performing. They can see the feedback that this platform is given to the agents, and they can see the behavior change right away. So it is an incredibly powerful tool for us. We have another one that does accent translation, more that Janesh will share, but we're continuing to invest in that space, and it's just rich for opportunity.
Yeah, I would just add to that. I think, first of all, Mike and the team did a hell of a job. We were 100% in the cloud. And then with Salesforce, it allows us to really enable AI technology. But when it came from a business perspective, why did we have to deploy AI, right? So it was March 2020, as everyone recalls, right? That's the start of the pandemic. And at Windom, thousands of our agents all of a sudden, like everywhere else, started to work from home. Mm-hmm. Now, our hotels, 90% of them actually stayed open in March and throughout that 2020. And the reason is because Windom, we attract the everyday traveler. So you have your truck drivers, your construction workers, medical workers. These folks were still staying at our hotel. So the business challenge was we had all these folks now working from home. So we launched, thanks to Mike's help, a series of AI technology to just manage our agent quality and consistency. So Mike talked about the quality AI, right? It's a real-time coaching AI. So if an agent is talking too fast or talking too slowly, they get a real-time prompt that just tells them slow down or pick it up. And so this helps the quality on the current call. We had an AI that simulated real booking conversations. There was 40 or 50 different flavors of it for new agents because they were scared to take their first call, and we had high turnover during that period. But when they went through the simulated conversations, they were more at ease when they were remotely trained and they took their first call, and they were ready for it. The performance was good, the turnover was less, right? And then the AIs that you mentioned to help you on a call with replies or suggestive replies where they can accept or edit. And then with agents in every region, supporting other regions, we did have an AI that translated accents, and that worked out really well. And so when you think about it, these were just a series of AI technology that helped us create that quality standard in April of 2020, when all of a sudden the agents were all working from home and not from a site or from your home office, right? So that was a big deal, and that's why we use the AI technology. But we also started doing human augmentation, right? And so with Agentforce, right? And Tim, I'll pick on you. When you're calling in to our hotels, like let's say the La Quinta in San Francisco, it will ask you, "Is this Tim?" Yes, and it'll understand intent. Are you calling about your reservation tomorrow? Yes. Agentforce will then cancel that reservation, right? That's the action it would take to cancel. And so we started using that. I think we have thousands of cancels that happen this way for our properties. Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Yep. So I don't know if there's anybody from the product team in the room, but perhaps they need to talk to Janesh about the service coach, just like the sales coach that was just announced yesterday. So Wyndham's the world's largest hotel franchisor. You got started on your journey focusing on your franchisees, right? To live up to your owner first mindset. But recently we've heard more about your guest-facing applications. Mike, could you maybe just drill in a little bit more on what we've heard?
Absolutely. We heard Scott Strickland on the main stage yesterday talk about us having 3 customers. We have our internal corporate team members, our hotel owners and their service staff, and we also have our guests. And we serve them in different ways. So for our internal team members, the way that we're leveraging AI is turning on and enabling those fit-for-purpose tools and AI capabilities that are included in the things and tools and platforms they already use. We're also experimenting with tools that we already have access to, such as Einstein Copilot or Microsoft Copilot as well. And our goal there is really to drive productivity. For our owners, it's about relieving some of the burden from their workforce. And in the hospitality industry, can and is a challenge for some of our hotels to retain and attract new talent. So anything that we can do to bring some of that into our digital platforms, to give them that relief, and to make sure that if they do experience any kind of turnover or pain, that that's not translated down to our consumers, adds an enormous amount of value. We also leverage these platforms to provide loyalty and more revenue, repeat business, and feeding in to the funnel for our owners, and ancillary revenue through the platform where we're able to do some upsell. So these are all the things that are going to add an enormous amount of growth for our business. And then for our guests, it's those same platforms that are making it easier for them to do business for us. Easier for them to search, shop, book, and stay at our hotels. Easier for them to get support while they're on site and they're needing assistance. So that's the areas that we're investing in.
Yeah. And the only thing to add, I mean, Mike, you mentioned we have our 3 customers. At the contact center, we primarily support the owners and through that extension, the guest. And then another business challenge. We still know that labor continues to be an issue across our 9,200 properties. So we launched a series of customer-facing applications really powered by AI, right? So we mentioned we have the voice AI. We also have the messaging AI. And then we have a chat AI powered by Einstein, right? So let's take a look at the first one, right? With the Agent Force, we described the intent to cancel, which is the action when you call in. It knows that, hey, there's a reservation for you tomorrow, likely about that. So that's the cancel. But we have another one. When you call in, are you calling about your reservation last week? Likely. And if you say yes, how can I help you? I need a folio, right? So then we action. If you recall Agent Force, you could then action. And Mike does his thing where he links it to the data source, right, where the folio is at. But then the action will be that the folio will go to that caller's email, right? And that's what Agent Force will do to take care of folios. But we also use Agent Force for our Windom Rewards member service desk. A lot of folks are looking at the website trying to get logged in, and they can't. They call into member services. And it'll identify who they are. And are you calling about your password? Do you need it reset? Yes. So then we have an Agent Force action that then resets the password. So it's pretty cool. I think, as we think about more use cases, there's a lot of potential in Agent Force. And then we have that messaging AI. So again, labor being the issue, these are the calls at the property. These are property AIs. These are calls that are getting resolved at the property. When you have a property message, we call it Windom Connect. 24 hours before a guest or member is checking in, we send an SMS. Do you want to check in? And it's AI driven. It'll do the mobile check-in. It'll do personalized upsell. And on the day of checkout, it'll do the checkout. But throughout those different points of journeys, if the guest or member has any questions, restaurants, can I bring a pet? Can I have a late checkout or early check-in? Or where's the nearest dry cleaner that accepts credit card? Like whatever you want to ask. It's a natural language response to these questions, and the AI is responding to 80% of the messages that typically would be going to the front desk. So this is very powerful because it frees up the front desk to focus on the guest that's in front of them. So that's a very powerful one. And then Tim, if you were to check out of that La Quinta in San Francisco, and you wanted to book a free night stay, perhaps Tim goes on to the Windom Rewards site, logs in, and realizes that I'm missing my points for the last stay. So when you hit on an icon for chat, it's really powered by Agent Force again. It's the Einstein. I guess that's a new name, right? Yep. Agent Force. But it would first recognize you for being a member. How can I help you? I'm missing points for my stay. So then Agent Force will ask, okay, do you have your folio, your receipt, your confirmation number? And when the member puts that in, it goes to work. It starts to action on the back end, and this is where I call it's Mike spots, right? It starts to go on the back end and take a look at the stay file and says, okay, this information, Tim's stay matches the member information, and it goes, there was no points awarded and awards points. Now, if anybody knows, when it comes to loyalty points, it's like giving away cash. So there's a lot of checks and balances to make sure nothing goes wrong or there's no fraud. But this is what's happening on the back end. And then when it gets back to you, it'll say, Tim, we found the record, apologize for the issue. We've updated your point balance. Now, I described it pretty long, but this is happening within seconds of a chat. I'm missing my points. Give me your confirmation number. And then we've updated sorry about that. We're updating your points. Is there anything else I can do for you? This takes a matter of seconds. And everyone who's from the industry knows sometimes this can take, because it used to take us up to 10 days, right, to figure all this out. So it's a pretty powerful agent force.
Yep, yep. That's pretty amazing. I actually have a story about Windom Connect. I stayed at a La Quinta actually last week. It wasn't in San Francisco. And I was chatting with, the front desk, got a local restaurant recommendation. And afterwards, when I was back in the office on Monday, I had chatted with somebody on your team just to see, was I talking with the bot or was I talking with a human? It was the AI itself.
It's the AI.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. As you said, the OpenAI.
Yep, yep. So staying on the subject of AI for another minute, how is putting these AI-driven insights in the hands of, all the three stakeholders you're talking about, how is that empowering everybody and really enhancing their experience with Windom?
So Guest 360 truly enables Windom to deliver a more connected, more personalized experience across the different touch points. So we're leveraging the unified profile. So the example I gave with AI is having a unified profile that benefits AI. But we also have a unified profile that benefits the agent, right? So the question is, how does it enhance the Windom experience? So from an agent perspective, when a unified profile, if that call came into an agent, if you're booking the La Quinta in San Francisco, the agent would ask you, is this Tim? Yes, because they'll instantly know everything about you. So they're like, okay, Tim, how can I help you? I need to book a room. Sure, for which day? For the 15th, for 4 nights. And the agent would say, Tim, do you want that same king-size bed you had last time? Or do you want to upgrade for $20 more since you're here for 4 days? You might need the extra space, right? Tim goes, sure, let's upgrade. Do you want to charge it to your Windom Rewards Visa that's on your account? Yes, you're all set, right? So from an agent experience, think about it. When I said it took a few minutes to start from scratch, they can literally take these calls and personalize it and give you a more connected journey from an agent perspective, having 360. But now let's take that same field and let's expose it to the property. So we have a property CRM, and these are individually owned, so we'll pick and choose what fields they get to see, but essentially, they see the same thing. So if Tim now walked into the La Quinta, first I'll say, why didn't you have reservations? It's Dreamforce Week, you should have had reservations. But if you walked into the La Quinta, the front desk agent would put in your phone number and say, is this Tim? Yes. They'll thank you for being a Diamond member and say, welcome back to the hotel. Do you want the same king-size bed? Or do you want to upgrade, right? So they give the same experience at the front desk or at the call center. So from an agent perspective, from a Tim perspective, despite Windom's size, right, 25 brands, 9,200 properties in 95 countries, having this kind of technology at the contact center, at the property means you're getting the same experience across all the different touch points. So I think that will build loyalty, and that will build our brand strength.
Yeah, and maybe the way I can do it, Janesh, is to take what you just shared and put it into the perspective of how it impacts us as a traveler and how AI really benefits you. Go back a few years. Imagine yourself arriving at a hotel. There's a lineup of people already at the front desk. You get in line. The phone behind the desk is ringing. A bus just pulled up in front of the hotel, and now 10 more people are walking into the lobby. Some of those people that are in line are already in house and they're there asking questions. Some of the people that are calling in are calling because they want to book a new reservation. This is all changing as we digitalize this whole experience. Janesh's team has a signature reservation program where his team answers calls on behalf of the hotel. So those calls aren't ringing behind the desk, and they're being served through our contact center. We have a virtual agent that's over top of that that's answering some of those calls as well before it goes to a live agent. So we've got some really great containment within that platform, providing some of that service that Janesh just spoke to. If I'm a guest and I'm arriving and I'm using the Windom Connect app, I can now ask questions pre-arrival or during arrival instead of going to the front desk or instead of calling down to the front desk. If I'm using mobile check-in or keyless entry, I'm arriving and going right up into my room, and I'm not standing in line. So all of this is being pulled away from what we would have experienced 5 and 10 years ago and creating a whole different experience, adding a lot of value to us as travelers and to our staff at our hotels by removing some of that burden. And so that's an example of how this is being used in real time and how it's benefiting, and also how we're growing and expanding on those capabilities to add and do even more.
That's a great story, Mike. Really brought it, I think, to life for all of us. Janesh, so had the pleasure of working alongside you for quite a few years now, and it's been amazing to watch you set the vision and bring it to life for the contact center. Changing it from what was traditionally like a cost center, right, like part of doing business, to something that's really a growth driver for the organization. And you've done that, like adding new services for the owner, like Mike talked about, like improving guest satisfaction. How have you been able to accomplish all that?
Well, it's a lot of folks. Some of them are in this room. It's a lot of teamwork. One of the things I credit is the way that we're structured at Windom, right? So at Windom, we have the marketing department, you have the IT department, you have the contact center, you even have revenue management, paid media, IT security. We're all part of one team. We're the commercial team. And so our goal is to figure out ways to drive revenue and generate demand to bring to our hotel owners, right? And so as a team, we're collaborating every day, every week, every month, off-sites, to figure out how we can make this happen. So having a seat at the table, and everyone has that seat, it allows us to have some level of influence. In regards to like contact center specific use cases or projects, we used more of a phased approach when it came to how we rolled things out in the last few years. We started off with the more simple tasks. So our franchise support was for the owners was always on the Service Cloud. So we said let's put our guest-facing functions like service recovery or member services, and let's move this over to the Service Cloud. There's inherent returns when you go from a homegrown system to the latest Service Cloud, where you get 3 releases, and there's inherent benefits that you get when you're on Sales Cloud, right? And so we worked with PwC and Salesforce and internal stakeholders to really size up the business effort. And typically, the ROI on these projects was 2 years. So whatever investments we would make, we would have a return within 2 years and constant savings. And then once we felt good, we did our experiments and pilots, and we were confident this is going to work. We executed. And it was important to then measure the success, and in these cases, we were successful. And when you're successful, it builds a level of trust in the organization that the next project will also have that level of success. And so that's when we really worked with Mike, our marketing teams, our other internal stakeholders to say, it's time we move our ability to book a room onto the Service Cloud, and let's get Data Cloud. Let's unify the profile. And all of a sudden, marketing was excited because now they have an ability to influence personalization across the touch points, create a value for our brands. And from an IT perspective, it's rallying around this new design and where we can innovate with that unified profile, right? So I think it's teamwork. It's been teamwork, but having a seat on the table, the way we're structured, contributes to our success.
Yep. So Mike, I know there's always a lot with keeping up with Janesh, right? Like, it takes the whole organization to execute on his vision, and I see some of, your team here in the front row, Gianthi, Chris, and some others. Like, what do you think, what's unique about Windom in your team in particular that you're able to adapt and innovate so quickly?
Absolutely. Well, for starters, it's hard to keep up with Dinesh. He's an innovation machine, and he's probably thought up 3 more ideas since we've been sitting here. I think Windom is perfectly positioned to leverage technology to drive business growth, value, and performance. We have top-down support. We have a strong team, some of which are sitting here. We have great partners. We have the right technology. We have a proven track record. We have very little tech debt because of all those things. We completed our cloud-first strategy. We completely redesigned the technology in our contact center space. We re-platformed our loyalty platform. We consolidated all of our core platforms into best-in-class ones such as Salesforce. And it's not only supporting the owner first and the guest engagement goals, but it's also supporting the growth goals of our business. Janesh shared we're growing by 1.5 hotels a day. I like to round up to 2 almost hotels a day. But we can also onboard a new brand in less than 6 months. And a lot of our competitors just cannot do that. It's a differentiator for us. It really creates the shows and demonstrates the power of our organization. So we're bringing those new brands. All 25 of ours are connected online. They're having access to our distribution, access to tools such as we're sharing today, and that adds a lot of value. So I think that's part of it. It's being able to set the right organization together. And another example of that is last year we moved to a digital product family. We took our business digital team and our IT development team and brought them in together to form them into one team. We also stood up a PwC factory, which has contributed to that success as well. But in 12 months since we launched that new model, we were able to deliver more projects, more value, more speed to market than we did the previous 3 years combined. And it really demonstrates the strength of how we're designed and why we're different. Another example that Janesh touched on is our CIO, Scott Strickland, sitting out here, was promoted to Chief Commercial Officer most recently. So that has us combining marketing, global communication, IT, loyalty, all into one organization. We have IT leaders leading business functions, business leaders leading IT functions, everybody rallying behind commercial goals and unified in that focus. And it just allows us to do things that a lot of our competitors can't do.
Yep. So as you were talking, I was thinking about a stat. I think most of us have seen that most AI projects fail, right? But, you talk about all the success that Windom has had, all the AIs that you've rolled out. What do you think Windom's doing differently, specifically around AI, to make you so successful in that regard?
Yeah, I think part of it is what I just shared. It's around having the right teams, the right platforms, little tech debt, the right partners. That's certainly a part of it. We also have strong data, and we've built a lot of trust within our organization. End of day, AI is about people. You've got some people that are terrified that it's going to take their job. You've got a subset on this end that there isn't an AI platform they haven't played with and loved. But most people are in the middle, and they just want to know what it means to them. How's it going to impact their lives? How's it going to benefit them in their day-to-day? How's it going to change their quality of life? So communication is a big part of that. Change management is a big part of that. So early last year, we started communicating with our leadership team on the opportunities around AI. We rolled out an acceptable usage policy while also encouraged innovation and experimentation within our organization. We stood up a steering committee so that we could have more conversation around AI, and we started experimenting. And by end of year, we had some of our workloads in production, and that momentum has continued to carry on into 2024 and beyond. An example of that is I was invited a few months ago to join our legal team in their town hall, and I sat beside our chief privacy officer to talk to 80-plus legal professionals and leaders around IT. Now, a lot of organizations would think that that's terrifying to sit in front of your legal team and talk about IT, because a lot of organizations are very risk-averse because they don't have the framework to be able to support a lot of innovation in that space. But the conversation was different with this team. They were curious. They wanted to talk about how it can benefit them around document management, how it can benefit them for litigation prep or research, or how they could use it to help draft some arguments for cases. And so it was really curious around how AI can augment the team and allow them to keep up with some of the volume and the work that they do to make their quality of life better, you know, as legal professionals. So I think we are set up differently, and it really does allow us to do a lot with AI in a rapid pace.
Yeah. You know, I think we talked a lot about AIs. So, you know, we have AIs for cancels, folios, next best action, and it answers a lot of your common calls, right? But only humans can provide hospitality in our industry, right? And so we put the AI in the middle of all the different things that we do. And so the question was, you know, how do we succeed with AI? The way we did it at Windom, and Salesforce, again, you know, being on the latest versions, and they enable features where you can get Gen AI, you just need to enable it. And so over the last year, we enabled several of the Gen AI features that was already available in Service Cloud, right? Service replies, conversational AI, as well as case classification. And so the way we did it is we turned it on, we had to pilot, we had to experiment with a select group of agents. So we picked 25 agents and said, listen, we're gonna turn on this service replies and let us know how it goes, right? Before we roll it out to everybody. And so it was for our chat queue and our email queue. And so every day I would ask the team, how's it going? And in the beginning, it was actually not good. They would get two service replies, and you had to give it a thumbs up that it did a good job, and a thumbs down if it didn't do a good job. And if you did a thumbs down, you would edit the answer and submit, right? That's how that would work. And so it was 40% successful. But day by day, week by week, it started learning from that feedback. And I would call the teams up, the operations teams, and they're like, it's getting smarter by the day, smarter by the week. And within months, it was like acting really accurately, like scary accurately, right? 90%, it was always hitting the mark. And so, you know, then we rolled it out, right? Once we had our lessons learned, we had it proven out, we knew there was going to be a benefit, we rolled it out, and then everyone loved it, right? So you always want to prove things out before you roll out any of these AI technologies.
Yep.
So it's good stuff.
Janesh, I love that line, only humans can provide hospitality.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you've talked a little bit about like what you've done from an AI perspective. Could you spend a little bit of time just talking about like the actual returns on those investments that you've made?
Yeah, so if we go back to the beginning, starting from scratch, not knowing who you're talking to, when you have an agent that now knows exactly who they're talking to, their loyalty, their lifetime value, their preferences, we're seeing that that call flow being reduced by up to 35%, which is huge for us, right? When you take tens of millions of calls, I mentioned 1 second is 100,000. Try shaving off a few minutes now, right? When you can go through a call like that. We also extended Salesforce to our owners. We assigned cases to them as well, and they're now on the platform versus homegrown systems. They're using next best action, service replies, and we're seeing that they're responding 55% better. And when it comes to our agents' performance, right, when you have AIs that are taking a lot of the non-revenue calls, whether it's cancels, the folio resends, the non-revenue calls, and then you give these agents the ability to provide personalization with the Guest 360 profile, we're seeing our conversion of booking rooms go up by 15%. So it's been a remarkable level of performance.
Yep. Mike, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think most of the gains, as Janesh shared, is in his space because that's where we're focused on right now. But a couple other examples. We did the accent translation platform pilot in one of Janesh's centers. The agents that used it, we saw conversions go up as high as 25% for those agents. We're now deploying that across other centers. And I use that example because it demonstrates that you don't have to have a big, complex platform. Mark talked yesterday on Agentforce. A lot of that capability is going to be there at your fingertips to try and experiment and look for the right use cases to get returns. Not all of the technologies require heavy training and heavy lifting. We're also doing a pilot internally with a partner on leveraging Gen AI in the test and deployment space. We're generating test cases, we're generating test data, we're then executing on that through automation, and we're seeing incredible results. Not only are we identifying more test cases, giving us a broader scope, catching a lot of defects compared to the ones that we would have created manually, we're doing it a whole lot faster. It's in hours instead of days. So that's really going to drive up quality, and it's going to bring some costs down and help our development cycle. But that's a couple examples of things we're doing, that are both external and internal, and we're seeing results on.
Yep. I actually just read an article on Agentforce for developers with some of those capabilities. So looks like that's coming to the platform as well. Yeah. So it looks like we have time for one more question. Janesh, perhaps we could just end on how have your guests responded, to all these innovations?
Yeah, so look, from a customer perspective, the feedback frankly from our guests and owners has been fantastic. So the guests, anytime they reach the contact centers or anytime they're going through our messaging AI or Windom Connect process, we do a quick survey, right? And we're scoring 4.7 out of 5, which is really good. These used to be the pain points. So guests are loving it. They're going through these new journeys every day, thousands a day. And so the scores are really amazing. From the owner's perspective, we're helping the bottom line, basically, right? When you have AIs that are answering their calls, when you have AIs that are answering their messages, the staff that's there, they can spend more time with the guest that's sitting in front of them. And so we've seen our quality scores across our brands, our 25 brands, year over year, month over month, improve, which is a big deal, right? And so that, and at the same time, that helps improve the bottom line. And lastly, if this is the last question, I just want to thank very quickly Tim, the PwC team that's out here, the Salesforce team. You guys are more than partners. You guys are family. We've done, and our internal stakeholders and our solution architect who's here as well. Over the last few years, we have done some amazing work and implementations. And I want to go back to the beginning where Mike congratulated you, but congratulations on the Innovation Award in Travel and Hospitality on the Windom account.
Yeah. Thank you, Janesh. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. If I could just take 1 minute to wrap up, then we could let you go. I just think about the excitement of this week at Dreamforce, right? Like every year. Obviously, every year the world is going to change, right? And this year it's with Agentforce. But what I've heard today is that that's not just a marketing vision, right? It's here, it's already in use, and for Windom specifically, right? To deliver on your purpose, right? Of making hotel travel available for everyone. It requires not just the innovation that comes with Gen AI, but as you so eloquently put it, right? It requires that human to really deliver, that moment of hospitality so that they feel welcome. So with that, I would just like to thank everyone for attending. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Janesh.
Absolutely.
And enjoy Dreamforce.
Thank you.
Thank you.